In Albion Online, everybody is chasing the best way to make as much silver as possible. For some, that's crafting, while for others, that's taking it from players in PvP. For me, it's gathering, and today, I'm going to show you my most consistent way that I've been able to amass my 150 million plus fortune. Alright, so I took the Brazilian random portal, threw me out here into the roads, and looks like we have a small ore and a small stone. Not a horrible start. Let's see where these lead. So 3 black zones and a hideout zone. Now, in my last video, I showed you how to pretty fastly's a word, I don't think it is, get might and fame, and that was out in the black zone. Today, this is probably one of my most consistent biomes, which is the Roads of Avalon. Occasionally, it does require a little bit more running than the open world may, but I've found to have the most consistent profits from the roads. And we've adopted the usage of the double-bladed staff in all manners of gathering that we've done. That way we can have the best chance of escape. I'm going to take the off-roads, but I'm not going to go past the green chests. The reason I'm taking the off-road is because you never know what's going to enchant. Whether that's a mist or a mob. Now, if you're looking to get started on your gathering journey and you're wondering what it takes to go out into the Roads of Avalon, a couple pointers. First, while I do have tier 8 tools, you can start with as low as tier 4 tools. And going from the yellow or the blue zones will take you into a tier 4 road, where you'll find tier 4 and tier 5 elementals, which are perfect when you're just starting out. Another thing to make note of is this is black zone territory, so it's full loot. If you come across a player who can kill you, chances are they will kill you, and they're going to want to take as much loot that you have for themselves. But if you come across a player that you're capable of killing, nothing should hold you back from killing them, because you never know what they have in their inventory. With the death happening right next to the only portal that leads to another roads, I'm not too inclined to go that way. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is going to head out to one of the black zones and do what I call zone hopping, which is basically go out into a zone, move one zone over, and jump right back into a road. As you can see from the chat feed there have been multiple deaths, all happening in that same area. So, very wise that we are avoiding that. For 2 gatherers that just came into this zone, I really hope they didn't miss this. I hope they just came from a different direction, because that's shameful if you pass up 6.2. This 11% enchant rate is really blessing us right now. With that being a tunnel, I decided not to take the risk of going through and being ganked in a very tight choke point. So I'm moving to the next exit, which should lead us to another black zone. And now that we're here, we're going to go ahead and head straight for the next portal. Hopefully avoiding these chasers. Now that we're back on the roads, we can check where is going to lead us deeper. We have one fully used portal, one portal unused, and then one portal half used. So we'll go check out the gathering spots before we make a commitment into a portal. Now, unfortunately, Carving Sword is a little bit more combat capable than I believe I'm capable of myself. And having multiple gatherers out here does not instill great faith in my ability to 2v1. And lucky for us, this treasure has been completely untouched. A 6.2 double-bladed staff really takes a long time to kill these. This guy might be a problem. And as I suspected, two of them. they are running together. Luckily, we got most of the tier 7, and I will not be able to take them both 2 in 1. Especially with one being a carving sword. My best course of action is to move on to the next zone. With another hideout zone connecting to this road, our chance of finding a gold portal just went up. Unfortunately, I won't be able to get that on my own. As you notice, these ones have 2 cross swords above their head, which means that they're meant to be done with a group. Now, I'd stand a chance if I was wearing the Skinner's hide, or the Skinner's garb, because it has a poison. But even at tier 7, I'm not entirely sure if the poison would be enough to take it down. Which is very unfortunate because 2-sword, as I call them, 2-sword elementals, have significantly more resources on them. So being unable to get that really does sadden me. With the sudden appearance of another player that I wasn't able to inspect, I decided my best course of action was to not stop for those cats and keep moving on towards Portal. And unfortunately, it's a dead-end zone. We can still, however, check the small hide and big stone areas. Now, while I'm running, I noticed that at least one of these hideouts is owned by an alliance with the name Gank in their name, which puts me on red alert. So if anybody is going to kill me, it's somebody named Gank. Now, you may be noticing that each time I fight a mob or a creature, I'm switching between 2 sets of skills. And you may be asking, isn't that a little inconvenient? But I would like to argue that it would be much more inconvenient to be gathering and caught without my movement abilities on. So that's just a little justification for why you see me switching between abilities. Now, while the mob that just passed us may only have one sword above its head. You will notice that it is significantly larger than the usual one-sworded mobs that we're fighting. That's because this is an aspect or titan. They are called different things as they get bigger, but these are typically stronger, again, require a group, and have a lot more resources available to them. So this is an old slate aspect, whereas this is simply an elemental. A valuable elemental. Between one elemental and one node, that alone netted us 145,000. The amount of time it takes for me to kill these really makes me miss my battle axe. Thanks to those trees, we're close to filling up, and we're about to fill up, our first lumberjack tome. And we already have one ore tome completely full. Now, despite some of those stone nodes being tier 7, I'm choosing to avoid them simply because they will take way too long to gather. Now, with one pie done and us halfway through our gathering session, I would like to share a helpful little tip that will make sure that you increase your profit while you're out there gathering. Down below this video, you'll see two buttons. One is a thumbs up, one is a subscribe button. Go ahead and hit those both. By doing that, you get access to all of my videos and future videos, notifications whenever they release, that will help you maximize your income and profit. With no other high-value mobs available, our next and only option is to go back out the portal that we came from. By noticing that open chest right there, that tells me that there are players actively in the area and recent. Thanks to an audio glitch, we could hear one of the mobs be triggered, which tells us we do not have the luxury of stopping for that cat. These are either the same players I ran into before, or another duo from the same guild. If they're the same players, then they switched weapons. I'm uncomfortable with how close they're chasing me. Unfortunately, it looks like my only option is to once again zone hop. So I will go investigate this small fiber spot, the treasure as well, which is 6-1, and then turn around and head out. With a little luck, that duo, or possibly the other duo of their guild, has not touched this area. And unfortunately for me, they have not, but they do seem intent on doing it. They're a group of 4, confirmed by the appearance of another. They had a healer, a tank, a quarterstaff, and the carving sword. With 4 players pressing on my zone, the best course of action is for me to vacate and find another, hopefully less hostile area. Now, both fortunately and unfortunately for me, the zone that it dropped me into, Glacier Fall Pass, is a quality 5, tier 8 stone, fiber, and ore area. Now, that's good for me, because with a 21% enchant rate, I do have a high chance of finding something valuable on my way out. That's bad for me because A, these zones are typically picked through already, and B, when they're not picked through, they're heavily patrolled by the owners of the zones, making sure that nobody else is taking the resources that they believe belongs to them. Noticing who's the owner of the territory here, I'm in particular danger because Evil Kool-Aid is one of the top guilds in the North America server. Leading into the next zone, tier 7, but still owned by Evil Kool-Aid, doesn't make me feel any safer, so my main choice right now is to head straight towards the Roads of Avalon portal. Now, as the self-crowned king of bad decisions, I made the decision to stop and gather some 7-flat fiber. But thankfully, within the last few minutes, at least, nobody has entered the portal through, or this road zone through that portal. So that gives us a little bit of breathing room to check out this small hide spot, as well as the larger wood spot. with a skinned animal right there that gives me some worries for the hide spot I'm going to. Seeing that player in full gathering gear does make me feel confident that if I needed to, I could either fight him or at least scare him off of any potential future nodes. It seems that that other player that we met went through this portal here, so I have this one as my other option. And luckily for us, it's closer to me. Now, I was hoping we would stumble across at least one other elemental. Unfortunately not. So now we move on to the next portal. This leads to a tier 4 crossroads, or not a crossroads, I call it a tier 4 corridor. Likely to only have one or two other exits out. But this one is very nice to us. Unfortunately, neither of those wolves dropped us a pup, which could have been amazing to add to our collection. But thankfully, a titanium ore will grant us about another 70,000. Now, with the dead cat there that I just passed, that does lead me to wonder if another player has been through here. And if so, are they still here? Why they didn't take the tier 5 titanium elemental, and what they are looking for. With no leads to tell me how often or how long ago that player's moved through here, my only option is to continue on and hope that I get lucky with the abundance in these spots. So far, it seems that my luck is holding out. And with that one tick, we have filled a fiber journal. Now, while 4.1 doesn't necessarily matter to me, 4.2 does provide very good value. So it is definitely worth it for me to stop. With that same thought in mind, I am going to stop at the 4.2 stone treasure. Not necessarily for its value, but for the might that it does provide. Remembering that I'm in the Roads of Avalon and there is no might bonus, I realize that this is useless. That, on the other hand, will provide great value. With the end of our second Pie Fest approaching, not only do I need to finish gathering the gathering spots in this zone, but I do need to start finding a way out of the roads back to our stockpile in Brazilian. With level 26 T4 gathering going this fast, I can only imagine how fast level 100 goes. With only a minute and a half on our current pie, I've decided to pop another one simply because I'll need it to keep my carry weight under the encumbrance limit. This is our last gathering spot for this zone, and it has a tier 6 elemental in it, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, it looks like we're falling just shy of being able to fill a second ore journal. With luck, this portal will lead me out to a road that has an exit, hopefully in the blue zone. Or yellow zone. Unfortunately, it looks like best I'm getting is a black zone exit. 3 of them, but lucky for me, an exit very close to a portal area. With 17% weight left before we're over encumbered, I am making the executive decision to check out these other zones. Now, because this is so shallow within the roads, with 3 black zone entrances and no way to go deeper into the roads, I do suspect that this may already have been worked.
Thy presence is unwanted.
Oftentimes, when running through the Roads of Avalon, or even the open world, you'll find boars, you'll find wolves, moose, that have been killed but not skinned. The reason for this is very simple. Somebody came through here hoping, with the cross of their fingers, that they would find the babies. Now, each of these mobs drops a baby version of them, which can be raised on an island to provide the mount, or can be sold at the auction house or the marketplace for a pretty penny. Now, while I would love the chance to have a chance of getting the baby, the fact that this was already killed means that I didn't have to put in the work to kill it. So it is essentially free skin for me. We are one ore, literally one ore tick away from filling up the second journal. With what appears to be no other worthwhile aspects, I'll move on to the last two remaining small gathering spots before taking the exit out to the open world. We've found quite a lot of 7-1 stone, which has brought quite a bit of value into the inventory. With only one small gathering spot remaining, let's hope I can hold on to it. These cats also have a chance to drop babies, but unfortunately it does not seem like luck is on my side with these today. And with what appears to be no elementals available in this gathering spot, it's time for me to exit. Now, due to my desire to fill up this last ore journal, I am going to take the dirt path all the way up to the exit, in the hopes of finding an ore golem that will fill this up for us. And there it is. 2 full ore journals with an extra 83,000 in the inventory. Now, despite its proximity to a safe zone, this particular exit can be chock full of enemies, so I need to be on my guard. Evidenced by 151 plus, and it dropped me out right next to the territory as it is under siege. My only hope for survival is that I don't get noticed by any roving bands of people resupplying, and I hit this barrier right here. It was a pretty easy hope of survival. I made it. Now, despite me making it to a royal city, the goal is to have to get back to Brazilian, which means I have to go into the yellow zone, so that way I can find a mist that leads me back to Brazilian. Now, during this segment, I am going to speed it up, so you see how I get back to said city, Brazilian, but It's not just boring watching me jump from mist to mist. So let's begin. And now that I've made it safely back to Brazilian, it is time for us to depot and see just how much I made in this slightly over an hour run. Less than an hour and a half, taking away the time it took for me to find a wisp that led back here, I'd say about an hour and 15 minutes. So before I do the session profit calculations, we first need to see how much I have stored away already, with one bank having 81.6 million stored in it, and the other one having an extra 8.39, bringing me to a stockpile total of 89.99 before depot. So now, I will put away my tools, pots, and unfilled books, bringing us to a session about an hour and 15 minutes of 1.85 million. So in an hour and 15 minutes, we made 1.85 million. And like I said in the beginning of this video, Roads of Avalon is one of my most steady and consistent profit drivers in this entire game. Whether I'm doing the Mist or the Black Zone, they have their spiked moments and they have a lot more deaths, whereas the Roads of Avalon is consistent and steady when it comes to profit. So getting this stockpiled in, putting all of the materials where it belongs, as well as the filled journals. And then putting these two where it goes. 8.99 plus the 1.85 that we depoted today brings us to a grand stockpile total of 91.84. Now, with our goal is to get to 100 million stockpiled through the items that you see here, as well as the materials, we are less than 9 million away from our goal, which should realistically only be about 6 or 7 more recordings of these sessions. So thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to like it down below and check out the playlist that I have on screen here for other videos just like it. Thank you all so much, and I will see you all next time.